In
What?
here,
Oh, let's see what we can do
in
here.
here, we pour whiskey.
Hey, hey, everybody, everybody. What's up? What's up? It is Mundo Madness Monday. And my co-pilot R2, he got so excited he ran his batteries out from the last show, so I got to figure out figure out what batteries he takes so that we can my compadre can come back with me. Cindy, Meg, glad you guys are here, man. I'm trying some new tech out. Sounds okay to me. How does it sound? Okay to does it sound okay to you guys? Because these new tech deals these new pods here are also courtesy of um, Anthony, man. So I'm hoping it makes it sound pretty good here as well. I don't have any cords to mess around with this time. So hopefully I will have a good show and it'll be really, really, really awesome sounding good tonight. So yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. Sounds good. All right. So tonight, man, as I don't know if the banner showed up, but simplicity um, is, I want to know how everybody feels. Do you want to go overboard with things? Do you want it simplistic? Um, I guess in comparison, every hilt has its own soul, right? And that's what we talked about on some of the shows, is that every hilt has its own soul, its own way of going, and so forth. Let's see. Meg2 says StreamYard is pretty good about blocking backgrounds. So if you mute your computer and don't have any other YouTube copies of like right, yeah, yeah, it's pretty good, man. I'm running the show on my phone, so I'm still kind of learning how to do things on my phone. Um, however, I'm hoping that with these new pods that Anthony gave me, I can do a little bit better things, with the thing, and then I need to play around with it while I'm doing the show sometimes and see how that goes, so that I can do some of the stuff that Anthony does. But if you're an enthusiast, everyone needs a saber that is elaborate. Yeah, actually, really, Meg, that's why tonight's topic is how much of an enthusiast you really are, right? Whether it be simplistic as an enthusiast or whether it be elaborate, for your saber. And that's what I want to get to the bottom of tonight, right? Um, because everybody's different, every hilt is different, and every situation calls for something different. Like it says that with crystal chambers, etc., like the Mentor Graflex, OLED, Bluetooth, CC, and other pixels can be added on. Right, of course. And again, like I was saying, that with every with every hilt and every one person, things can change. Whether maybe they want like a very simplistic chassis, and it'll have, let's say, maybe it'll have just a simple, maybe crystal chamber, and that's it. No other greeblies or anything like that. And then you have, like Will Whaling did, Will Ailey, excuse me, man. Will, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, shred your name there, bro. Like Will does, and he, the Martin Bears type of hilt stuff, which is very elaborate, very exclusive, right? And you see all these intricacies of the hilts and inside the chassis and all the blinkies that go into it and the amount of time that it takes. Now there's another aspect of the simplicity. Oh, I can't even talk right now. Gosh, my brain's going 100 miles an hour again. And believe me, when my brain's going 100 miles an hour, I can't even talk. My brain runs faster in my mouth. Um, so, your simplicity and your elaboration, right? And in your hilts and inside your chassis, uh, you can't, it's up to the person, but at the same time, what you're feeling. Let's say like maybe one type. Rich says my at least my favorite builds people who want everything in the hilt, like OLED, Bluetooth, multiple accents, kill switch, removable battery, total overkill. Ah, see? So Rich, you're a simplistic builder, right? You know, kind of like less is more type thing, right? Meg's got the Cheskov Grandmaster Mentor. Yes, those builds are usually people's dream sabers. I agree. I think that every one should have at least one of the elaborate hilts in their collections, right? That their unicorn that they're looking for, I think should have all of that stuff. And one that's it'll be a shelf queen, but it kind of be like in between the shelf queen, not simplistic, classy. Oh, okay. There you go, Rich. Oh, I stand corrected. Thank you, my friend. Not simplistic, but classy. There you go. Hey, always, always. Bluetooth barely works. Laugh out loud. Really? Yeah. In hilts, I think you have to have like a certain kind of um the Bluetooth, but I think you have to have something else on outside of the Bluetooth, right, to connect to that keep it, because from what I understand, the metal kind of interferes with the Bluetooth signal or something like that. I'm not too sure how that works. I know some people make it work, but like Jedi Arms Dealer, he's made it work, but it's taken some creativity to pull that off. On a Profi, Bluetooth just makes interacting with Profi Workbench easier and wireless. Yeah, on a Profi. But isn't let's see, Make Two says, yeah, it doesn't work well on some hilts. Oh, okay. So are most of the hilts that it doesn't work, are they the metal ones, or are they the um or are some of the hilts not metal that they work best with, right, Meg? Something like that? Because eventually, I mean, I think most people would like to do Bluetooth, right? So they can just do it from their phone and get all of the goodies without having to really touch the saber sometimes. Let's say they have it on like in the background up here, and they can just do put it on with their phone, and then they can turn it on, with the blade and everything. Not sure how people would really, surmount to that, but to each their own, right? If you can't mount it where you have venting or route antenna towards them, see, and that's the thing, right? Maybe, yeah, an antenna towards the bottom of it, maybe, or maybe have a little hole where the antenna can kind of stick just like millimeters out, so it catches that signal. Um, that would be a great idea, though, man. I mean, I don't know if anybody's done that, but I think that would be kind of a cool idea. Meg says I have a Dark Force Transcendence in the chest on it where the Bluetooth is mounted. It's only plastic. Huh. Transcendence, huh? Man. Now, as far as simplicity goes, um, I would think that some of your hilts, more of your simplistic hilts that you see, and of course, you got the Chinese versions. Most people would kind of buy those, just so that they could twirl them around and do all these little tricks. And if something happens to it, like, eh, okay, right? And then, of course, you have your others where um, they're not so simplistic, but at the same time they're like in between where you could still use them to do your tricks, your spin tricks, and so forth. Yeah, it's been done. Extend the antenna from the Bluetooth chips. Huh. Okay, there you go. Um, you know, in so what I'm trying to get at is with the simplicity, and it depends on the person, but at the same time, your hilt designs, whether simplistic as they are or as elaborate as they are, um, I guess depending on how elaborate and how functionality that you want them to be, right? Whether they're going to be shelf queens or whether they're going to be con queens, maybe they're going to be um, maybe your fighting stakes. And so if you decide on what kind of um, if you decide which way you're going to go, whether it be simplistic, little simplicity, maybe even in between moderate simplistic and elaborate, or go full on elaborate. Um, your choice would be to, I guess, to determine whether how much of a shelf queen you're going to put, how much time you're going to put into it, how much money you're going to be putting into it, right? Now, and then again, you also have those um hilts that maybe because of the person's finances, that they have to be moderately simplistic. Maybe the chassis have to be moderately simplistic. Um, or they're like in between, like Rich says, classy, right? Not extremely simplistic, but classy. And they look good, they're very functional and so forth, right? Meg says, yes, Mundo, you're exactly right. You had to design the saber around its intended usage. Yeah, I mean, then why not, right? I guess your designs, if you're poorly managing your designs on what let's say you want a real fighting stick, right? But somebody says, no, I want a fighting stick with all these blinkies and all of this. I want it to look cool. I want my chassis to do this and that. And I want it to look cool, but I want to beat the hell out of something with it. Well, then, that person goes and does that. And, 3 weeks later, something's not working right on it. It's like, hey, what's going on? This. Well, I mean, come on. You wanted a fighting stick, you got a fighting stick, and you wanted all these greeblies, you got it, but now you got to deal with what you did to it. You got to deal with it, man. Right? Makes this MB Graphics is okay for cons, but so expensive. I'd leave it at home and take something simpler, classier, and I guess that is Rich. Yeah, well, Rich has some good stuff, man. I mean, yeah, classy stuff, classy stuff. I still man, like the hilt that he did, chassis, the chassis that he did for my father's hilt, the balance, right? Here's the balance, right? And I tell you, I really, I really can't wait to start working on it, but I've got other things to work on it first because I want to be able to concentrate on this, take my time with it, right? But Rich has done such an awesome job on the chassis part. Now this right here, I put this little piece in here. I sand it, I cut it, and I put this in here so that I could put the buttons in there. And Rich did tell me, a great idea to get down into the buttons is to use screws. So I'll be using some heat shrink tubing to cover the screws and use those for the plungers to get to the buttons in there. And man, I tell you, I mean, look at that look at that crystal chamber that he did, man. I mean, absolutely gorgeous, right? I mean, geez, I love it. I love it, man. I mean, he did such a, and then of course I got the OLED screen, but Rich did a classy job, man. He did a classy job. I mean, it's not overly Uberfied, right? Not overly Uberfied. Rich is just so sick. He's really killing. Yeah, he is, man. He's designing some great stuff. He's becoming goth intricate. Goth intricate. I like that, Meg. you know, but yeah, Cincy. Hey, Tom. Hey, Rich. Hey, man. Hey, Cincy's here. Cincy, my buddy, my buddy. Everybody's my buddy, man. And see, look, so that kind of checks out, right? So when I get the buttons in there and stuff like that, the buttons will sit right up in here. I'm gonna glue them down, then I'll put the wires in there, and then uh, once I sand down the screws for this too, right? Let's see here. Yeah, so once I screw this in, after I sand down the screws and stuff, I'll be able to start making the button section here and see how that's gonna go, and then I'll take care of everything else, but a little bit at a time, right? Hey, no, Cindy, don't worry about it, man. No, dude, no worries. I started a little bit early tonight, Cindy, because my daughter she left back to Dallas just an hour ago, a couple of hours ago. We got her on the bus at 7 o'clock, and I decided since I was home early that I was gonna go ahead and do the show just a little bit early. Um, Seeing as I was up at 5 o'clock this morning taking my girls to school and all that good stuff. So I might hit the sack a little bit early tonight. I don't know. I'll see how I feel. Usually I'm in bed by 1:30, 12:30 to 1:30 in the morning, depending, and get up at 7. So, but I got to make sure that my daughter gets to her destination. She'll hit that destination probably about midnight tonight. So it just depends. She's head back to college, back to her school, right there in Arlington. Yeah. Hey, Jim, how you doing, my friend? Let's see. Nick says I need to come visit you, Mundo, next time with the SpaceX Starship launch. How far are you from South Padre? 20 minutes, Meg. 20 minutes, dude. Most of everything here in Corpus, you're only 15 to 25 minutes away from everything. That's basically how big Corpus is. Most of everybody goes to South Padre, um, for the beaches and stuff. And South Padre's like it's 20 25 minutes away, basically. I got to meet Mundo. It was awesome. Yes, I got to meet Rich. Yeah, it was very cool, man. I wish we had a little bit more time, but the next time we'll have a little bit more time, hopefully, right? And oh man, Rich, thank you. I mean, you guys were so delightful yourselves, man. It was a great honor meeting you guys. It really was. I'm truly blessed to have met you guys, and to spend that time with you. So that was really cool, and um, I can't wait till we do it again. And anybody who comes down, man, if you come down this way, hit me up. I can try to meet you if I can. And I think we'd have a blast just sitting together and just talking sabers, talking about anything really, man. That's what's excuse me, guys. I'm sorry to mean to turn around like that, but that's what makes the world go round. You have people, good people, and talk about things that have common interest in, and so forth. Um, Force push that like button for Mundo. Yeah, and I'm trying to build up the Mundo channel as well for at Mundo Cabrera 7007. Go figure with the numbers, right? And I'm still trying to figure out what to do on things on that channel, and um, I know all the videos that I do on here with Space, they go over there to that channel as well. But what I want to do is I want to have a functionality of all kinds of things with that channel as well. I'm not sure exactly on the day that I want to do time for the Mundo channel, so I'm still kind of working things out like that. But it's gonna be like a channel where it's like all kinds of different things. It'll be sabers, it'll be comic books, it'll be all kinds of things that we can talk about. It doesn't necessarily have. I mean, it can deal with Star Wars. I mean, it can deal with movies. I mean, just a plethora of different things, right? Um, Mainly because this is Space's area, and doing justice to to civilized savers. My heart goes out to them, and like I said, and I can't mention this enough because Space let me run with the show, and I've got so much stuff to talk about, so many people that I want to get on here, um, and I just I appreciate each and every one of you for being here on Mundo Madness Mondays, man. Um, I really do appreciate it. It just it brings me so much joy because we can talk about things. um we have these similar interests, and so we could talk about these things and make it fun, and well, we could talk about anything and make it fun, really. So like I was saying, you know yeah, see, he can't even I can't even turn him on. So right now R2 be screaming, so if y'all can just picture it in your heads, R2 screaming with joy, wow. And I want to try to make the channel fun, and that's what it is, right? We got to have fun in life. Too many bad things on TV, too many bad things going on in the world, and we need a small space for us to kick back and go, it's simplistic, but yet classy, right, Rich? Simplistic, but classy. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Next time we have more time. Absolutely, Rich. Yeah. And for anybody, if you guys come, man, hit me up. Let me know, guys. And if y'all are here on a weekend, I can try to meet y'all. Um, Maybe I can even try to see if we can get together at the ranch or something, and we'll have a ranch barbecue, and we'll do stuff like that, man. Might be hot as hell, but yeah, we'll have a lot of fun. We'll do it in the later time in the evenings where it's not so hot. So you guys just won't, because believe me, out there at the ranch, it gets steaming, man. It gets steaming. But we all have a lot of good times. You'll have a lot of fun out there too, man. Um, so going back to the tonight's topic, as far as simplistic and elaborate goes, how when somebody is looking at the elaborate stuff, all the blinkies. Makes you wonder what's going through their head at the moment. Like, the more blinkies, the better. And this and that. I want to see all these. Have you guys ever, like, gone through your head and say, what would Luke, what would Leia, what would all these characters with all these different hilts in their hands, what what kind of innards would they have in their lightsabers, right? Now we've seen pictures and stuff like with the encyclopedias and everything, right? And some of them look kind of elaborate, some of them kind of look kind of plain. Um, it's been hotter than hell here in North Carolina too, Mundo. Yeah, I think we're both kind of like on the water, Meg. So with it being on the water, we have a lot of more of that steamy stuff coming. Um, and it just, I mean, if it's hard to breathe sometimes with it being like that. Meg says that blinkies are cool, but I have sabers with blinkies, and the people rarely see what they can do. And yeah, because it's only in the inside, right? Meg says that MB Sabers, Goth Grandmaster, Sigillo. Humidity, yeah, the humidity really kills you. But um, how much do people really want to see all of those blinkies on the outside? I know some hills have some of the blinkies on the outside, and do you question yourself whether you really need those, or do you like are they cool versus do you really want them, or are they cool because you need them, or does it look right on the hilt? maybe some of those people even question themselves, did I just do too much blinkies? Did I do not enough blinkies? Um, I think I think with some of the blinkies, if you really have a certain way of doing them on, like, let's say the board, like Meg, you know, you had a video out on the very small tiny LEDs, right? On the board. And when you tested them out, they look amazing on the board. Hey Titan, how you doing, my friend? And you know, yeah, or they can be a little bit distracting, right? And but at the same time, they kind of like, dude, that's cool because you want to kind of showcase what the inside of the saber is capable of. Yeah, the 603 LEDs. Yes, of course. And I still have the ones you sent me, man. Um, I think I am going to put those. I think I've determined that I'm going to put those on the IR that I have, and I'm not sure exactly what hilt I'm gonna put the IR in. And see the I3. Sorry, and I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, right? So we'll see how that goes. Let's see. Rich says exposed crystals are cool. Yeah, you know, and it's not kind of rich, and it's not over the top either. I think it is pretty classy. I think it is an elaborate effect that is real. If it's really well done, it's an elaborate effect that works really well. Now, and I've seen some that have kind of gotten, hey, you know, wait a minute, you didn't kind of pop that out right. It kind of slow, eh, eh. So, you know, yeah, they're like windows, right? Like windows. I think there's some hilts that actually should have some battle scars because if you have these dirty hilts that have seen a lot of battle, I see some hilts that are, you know, that are battle worn, so to speak. But then you don't see any of these scratches, you don't see any of these dents, you don't see any of these burn marks that when you're actually going, like if somebody's actually going at it, the OG killer and fallen hills. Yeah, right? Exactly. So if you don't have some of that battle damage, I think you're doing a real injustice to elaborate, you know, some of these hills. Yes, and some of them are elegant, you know, yeah, of course. But if you're gonna have something that's really elegant, you know, you're not fighting with it. These are the type of hilts that, you know, you want as simplistic as you can get them, but classy, right? Classy type. But they're not battle damaged. They're not battle worn. And but you seem there seems to be some hilts out there that claim that they're battle worn, but they're really not, right? I mean, they look they're in a certain specific how am I gonna put it, man? Because I mean, I really don't want to offend anybody either, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show love for all these hilts and everything, but at the same time, I think there's some injustices that are being done when they claim that they're battle, you know, they're battle hilts, but they don't showcase some of that battle tales, right? I tell you the one thing that I like that is simple, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I like one button setups over two. Hey, no, you know, Rich, I absolutely agree with you. I think there should be some hilts that require only one hilt and not two. I've seen certain hilts where they have two buttons, and I look at them and I say, you know, I think if they took one button out, it would have been a lot better. It would look better. It would feel better. It would, you know, and that's just me, okay? I mean, that's just how I'm feeling on those certain hilts. That I think that some of the hilts that have the two buttons actually should only have one. and and because with the two buttons it's cool, but if you simplify it to the one button, I think it brings that hilt to another level, and especially with with fonts. And Titan says, "I love window blinkies and exposed crystal chambers on my sabers. Blinkies are really great when they look like they are a functional part of the saber. Absolutely, absolutely, and of course, like the Luke hilt, right? The Luke hilt has the little triangle blinkies, and then you have Vader's hilt with the bubble strip. I think that kind of maybe if you put a blink, not necessarily a blinky, but maybe kind of light it up in a way where it's like you have it a certain color for off and on, something like that. But then again, Vader really didn't, his hilt is very simplistic to his suit, right? He didn't want anything too elaborate because his suit was not elaborate. But then again, he's, so much anger that he had to have his hilt in a specific way. With gesture controls, it makes it easy, and real sabers would only have one. I think so, and especially in a time when most of the Jedi have already gotten killed, and they're looking for parts, they're looking for items to put sabers together and so forth. I think there's gonna be a scarcity of parts. So, having two buttons may not fit with certain things, certain setups. And in terms of scarcity, in a world where most of the Jedi are gone, and maybe some of the ships that they can salvage some stuff from makes it a little out of the ordinary, right? But then again, again, if you're looking into characterization of a hilt and characterization of the Jedi or the Sith that's with the hilt, uh, I believe that characterization calls for certain uh, referendums in terms of creating it in where when you create these hilts, you get that certain feeling like, okay, is it good? Is it bad? Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? You have all these questions for yourself, and then at the end, are you really happy with it? Are you going to take it to con? Are you going to take it to showcase it? Are you going to put it up on the wall and leave it there? Are you going to take it and fight with it? So again, um, individual expression of the hilts. Like again, like for the F-16, right? I feel that this is the F-16. It's after the fighter jet, but to me, this screams, like I've said in the other videos, that it screams Mortal Kombat more than it does the fighter jet, right? And so if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat and you see that Scorpion's fighting style is classy, right? It's not overly done. I mean, yeah, he disappears and he comes back and has the chain, but a lot of his moves are really unique to certain things. And again, with again, getting another hilt like this and having it black and blue will be Sub-Zeros, right? Sub-Zeros, and get that painted up with some ice along the way on it. Felicia, totally, you should have screamed Mortal Kombat right there, right? Mortal Kombat. Yeah, right. and uh, and Felicia, don't worry. I'm still working on getting some of those people on the show. As a matter of fact, Bad Batch had texted me back, and he said that he'll get back to me when he can. So we'll see what happens with that situation, right? I'm very hopeful for the future shows, man, because I have a great lineup, and I'd like to get their takes on some of the hills that they do and stuff like that. Um, Especially like Avery Castillo and Tony from Ronins, right? I'd like to get some of their opinions on here and see what their thought processes are on terms of simplistic or elaborate hilts, how far they're willing to go on the chassis, and um, all the good stuff, right? That goes along with it. And I, um, you know, getting into all this. I mean, I absolutely don't get me wrong. I love every different kind of chassis that has come out, whether they be, simple, moderate, simply, elaborate. It doesn't matter. I mean, because they've all looking great. I mean, as I was saying, like I said, it's a personal preference, right? On whether you how simplistic you want to give it or how elaborate you want to get it. And that's what just tonight's show is about, really, is expressing how people feel in terms of their in feel and how they want their chassis system come out. And Tom, like you, man, seeing how you worked on the gun, man. Oh my gosh. I watched that video where you were doing the wire up on the Profi on the rifle, and it was like, dude, that was like killer, dude. That was like killer. I was like watching them like my daughter was talking to me and I was like half-ass paying attention to her because I was getting so much into the wiring that you were doing and the testing here and the testing there. And that's the thing that I mean, you do have to really, test all your stuff along the way because my gosh. I sometimes I get so lost. I think I actually miss some steps sometimes when I'm doing some of these things. Like and I'll show you how bad it gets for me, right? Um do 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 do. And I think let me show you because of the F-16 and I'm using the Smuggler's Outpost chassis system, right? And seeing some of the pictures there and so forth, I actually had to. I don't know if you guys can see this, and I hope you. Custom crystal timber with what I guess is create Dragon Pro. Yeah, create a Dragon Pro chassis, man. That is killer too. And they look cool. Um, and it's not. It's actually kind of simple but classy, right? It is classy because it looks so simple, but yet it looks kind of elegant in there as well, right? It's small, but it looks really cool. Titan says Tom had a great idea about soldering a wire to all the other wires to feed it through the. Yeah, I think so too, right? Meg says that the part I worked, I think I've done that before, but yeah, my old man was an electrician and I had a lot of fishing wire tricks. Well, that's cool. See, a lot of things to get you through things like that. Um, so I tell you, right, I have to have wiring diagrams to do my wiring because I'm such a visual person. And even I can read the manual 100 million times and I still have a hard time understanding it. But here's what I've done, right? I have literally taken a picture of the chassis and point out to which way my wires are going, where they're going, how to hook it up, right? I can look at this and I'll still look at this probably about 100 times before I even hook up one thing. And then I've got a messed up board where I can actually stick everything, all the wires on here so that when I put the new board on there, I know exactly where every wire is going to go before I do it so that way there's just less mess up on it. And it may be not real real pretty in terms of all the wiring diagrams that I've seen, a lot better than mine. But I think it kind of works for me, right? It is kind of simplistic for me because it works out that way. And I think I can, and with every chassis that I end up doing, um, I may end up doing stuff like this, that way. Now, if there, well, Felicia, I have to. I'm so visual because I'm dyslexic, and it kind of gets away of things sometimes. So if I do things like this, it kind of helps me get over that, right? Um, I did not know that I was dyslexic until I got into college. And they tested me because, I had such low scores and everything like that. I had to retake all my, remedial classes. And they tested me because of that. And when I was in high school, I really had a hard time with classwork and so forth. And I couldn't understand why. And when I actually got help and I got tested, I finally understood that, going through high school, a lot of that hard work that I did and having a hard time with all my classwork, it wasn't my fault. I didn't understand what I had, what I was dealing with at that time. So in years to come, I really enjoyed comic books. And when my dyslexia would come around, I started thinking to myself, I saw this show on TV where they were talking about the eyes and how if you look inside the mirror, you see it backwards, right? So like if you're wearing a shirt and you're seeing the lettering backwards in the mirror, right? But yet when somebody looks at you, they can see the lettering perfectly straight, perfectly right. So when I was thinking about that, I said, let me try something. If the dyslexia is where your brain is flipped around, you're seeing things backwards, could I actually read things backwards? And so I turned the book or the comic book because I like comic books, right? I would turn it upside down and I was able to read upside down what was going on. And when I couldn't read upside down anymore, I'd turn it upside right and continue reading where I left off. And my brain would switch back. And as I did this through years and years, my um, my dyslexia took a lot shorter time, to go through, to get over it. And I had trained my brain that when I have episodes, I can turn the book around and in maybe 2 to 3 minutes later, I'd be able to turn it back around and read right again, and go from there. And from that point, I've helped about two or three people with that, and it's a good feeling when you can do something like that and bring that to what you can learn and so forth for you know uh, apply it to the sabers in terms of visuals for your wiring diagrams, right? So amazing. Let's see. Rich says that a good technique, Lord knows I have box of dead boards. Oh man, Rich, I know it's probably gonna be a box of dead boards for me, but I'm gonna try not to have that many. So I am so adamant about trying to do things right, man. Because I mean, but then again, if you do things all right, it still doesn't matter. You're gonna get it one way or another, right? You're gonna fry them one way or another. I sent all my dead boards to Brian Connor. No sloppy, and they're all so dead. He can't revive any of them so far. I killed them good. Oh yeah. Well, I've killed three already. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I've killed three, but thank goodness that this is just me starting out. So yeah. That's why I don't use CFX anymore. I hate that board. Huh. Well, Rich, I mean, all these different boards, that's the great thing about it, right? You get your pick of boards that you like. And um I think like John from Collectors, right? He's really liking the Profi and he's liking the Xenopixel, I think. Um I like the CFX, but your board is the If I'm not, what was the board that you like, Rich? It was the Golden Harvest, right? Golden Harvest, if I'm correct, is the one you really enjoy. And I'm hearing a lot of good things about Golden Harvest. I do have one. I intend to buy maybe two or three more if I can. Not anytime soon, but yeah, Coffee or Golden Harvest. Okay. Now I do have a Profi 5.1 sitting around that Aunt sent to me, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna put that. I was thinking of putting that one in the Vader, but now that I think about it, I may put the Vader one with the Golden Harvest. Meg says that the Verso is awesome too. Those are another couple of boards I need to get. You know, Meg, I had promised myself that I wanted to get a couple of Versos. Um, I think if you don't try different boards, you're kind of missing out on certain things. I know that some people, have one board and they stick with all that and stuff like that. I want to try the different boards if I can, and see how they compare to everything else. And it doesn't matter, but I mean, I do like the setup of or the CFX. But I really am interested in checking out some of the Versos, getting a couple of Versos, getting a couple more of the Golden Harvest. Um, I don't know, and especially like with the I guess what are the other boards that are coming out right now? I think of course the Xenopixels, right? And I am not sure what the deal is with Xenopixels. Are is that a proprietary board, or is that just a board that is already out but under a different name, right? Um, they're all NeoPixel boards, of course, and some of them may be like what I like about the Verso, like is classy. It's not too over. Uh, it's not simplistic at all, but it is in between. And then of course, you got your Golden Harvest, which will be there as well, right? The Golden Harvest. It looks simple, but it could be elaborated on later on, right? Rich says, I have a Xeno 3, haven't installed it yet. Rich, when you do, let me know, man, how you liked it, because uh, like I said, I want to experience all these different boards and how they differ, and and I think they'd be so interesting, right? Because and the reason why I won't do a whole lot of a video or something because I think there's so many videos already on hilt reviews on I don't see too many board reviews though, right? Everything seems to be installed already. So I don't see too many videos on just boards themselves. So I may start kind of do that if I come across these different boards and I think that do a little bit of homework on each of the boards and maybe do some shows on each of the boards that are not installed, right? And because most of all the videos that you see out there these days, they've already installed them. They're showing how they are and so forth. Well, if everybody's already doing those kind of vids, I'd like to do stuff that's outside of that and kind of showcase the boards without them being installed, or heck, maybe even do like a wire here and a wire there so that people can kind of see. I know there's installation videos as well, right? I just need gesture, spark, ignition, tip drag, standards like lockup and blaster. You want all the greeblies that go along after the board is lit. Nothing wrong with that, Rich. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think, and I think it's a no, it's a lot of fun. It really is, man. Getting these boards, getting these hilts and igniting them and swinging around, seeing what they're capable of doing is fun. And again, whether how elaborate or how simplified they are, whether the insides, the chassis, um, whether the chassis is lit up, whether it's simple and not and plain, right? Like here. So you got the oh my, end up doing a show. Forgive me, guys. Oh my gosh, she's gonna get mad at me, but okay. So I may have to cut this show a little short tonight, man, so I can call her back. She made it to a station where there's lit up and all the security around, so that's good, man. Daddy's happy. Daddy's happy. So, and this is for the F-16, right? And Albert had done a wonderful job printing it out. It's very simple, right? On here, and even the small chassis on the inside. You got your pig needles there, and then you got the target here on the side, right? You see, so Meg goes, there are features that I like in Force Sounds, background tracks on anti-engine training, Falcon, remote sense. Yeah, every single one, And that goes for sound fonts too, right? The simplified versions of some of these sound fonts. Um, I think if you can get as elaborate as you want on a lot of the fonts as well, right? Make two says, gotta go to bed. I'll catch the rest tomorrow. Live chat F-16 Hill too. Yeah. That's awesome, Meg. You got one, huh? Yes. I can't wait to see you get yours done, man. You probably get yours done before I do, though. All right, Meg. Have a good night, Tom. Have a good night, buddy. So um, in terms of the fonts, they can get as elaborate and as simple as you want them. And I think some hilts call for simple. I think if you put too many fonts on a certain hilt, like some guys, they do 20 or 30. You pay a lot for these hilts, but sometimes I think it kind of you're going through all these damn fonts, trying to find the right font and so forth. Where I think if you had like maybe 10, maybe 12 fonts, and but you have the appropriate fonts, I think that would go like 100 miles an hour. You know, just boom. I think it would just kill it in terms of being not so simple, but simple enough to make the soul of the hilt pop out. And and if you have let's say, oh, what would be good? Like, okay, like Star Killer hilt, right? Uh, that is a freaking badass hilt itself, and I'm gonna own one of these days. And Tom, I want to own a cross guard one of these days. Also, right? At least one version of some hilts that I do want to get. Uh, I'm not gonna get every hilt out there is, and or every different version of a hilt, but you know, there'll be some good hilts that I have in the collection like that. Uh, Rich says that I like fonts match the character, at least the first font on the saber. Yeah, I think the character fonts should really match the hilt itself. I think it brings a lot of soul to the hilt. I think it brings the elaboration to the hilt. And that's why I said elaborate or simplistic, because sometimes less is more and more is less, and vice versa, right? Um, but again, if you start putting all this stuff, if you start putting like 80, 90 fonts on a hilt. You got to go through all of these fonts. I think you're doing some of the injustice to a good hilt. And I know you want to honor some, the font makers, and it's really awesome that you purchased. But I think maybe if you switch out, let's say you put 12 fonts on the hilt and you match the character to the hilt, right? And later on down the road, you say like, yeah, Felicia, it's overkill, right? It is overkill. That's what I was trying to get at. It's overkill. Um, so I for me, I would put the 12 fonts on there to match the hilt, and then let's say in the next year or two, okay, I'm gonna take. Hey, what's up, John? How you doing? Collector's Outpost in the house, people. Um, if you put so like I said, after a year or two, I'm gonna take all those 12 fonts out. Maybe I'll leave one in, and I'll put all the other different ones that really match that hilt. So I'm not keeping the same fonts on the hilt, but I'm keeping the hilt within characterization, right? You're keeping the hilt within characterization, and you're still honoring these font makers as well. You're not doing any injustice to them by switching out these fonts. I just think that sometimes you do an injustice to the hilt and the font makers by having too many fonts in one hilt. What are your thoughts, John? So, John, what we're talking about tonight is the elaborate, in terms of a hilt. Okay, it can be as simplified as you want it or as elaborate as you want it, in meaning whether that be fonts, whether that be paint, whether that be the chassis system, whether it be maybe just a straight up LED. Um, I'm trying to get into how people feel on how they feel about what their sabers should feel to them, right? And do you think, John, do you think that if you put too many fonts or too much paint or too much things on the hilt, that it could be overkill? Or do you think that maybe a simplified version of some of those hilts could be more and bring out that the soul of that hilt? Um, so that's what we're discussing tonight to get you up to speed on here. I think, like I was saying, it depends on the person, right? And it depends on what you feel in terms of doing certain things. Like one of the things that we were talking about earlier, also, is you have these hilts that claim to be battle worn, they're dirty, they've got maybe some small scratches, but there's no real true battle scars on a hilt, right? If it's seen so much battle, where the nicks, where the blaster hits, you know, where all these scratches and all this to show that it's actually been in a battle. Yeah, it's weathered, but if it's supposedly battle worn, where is all that battle worn? Is that too elaborate? Is that not enough? Is it too simplified? Because they don't show the battle worn of the hilt itself, right? So to each his own is where I'm getting at on some of these questions here. And do you want it do you want it elaborate? Do you want it simple? Or do you want it like classy, like Rich says? I mean, it's kind of like in between, but not overbearing type stuff. Of course, you got some of the chassis that are like this, right? Smuggler's Outpost, not a whole lot of blinkies in there, right? And of course, um, well, maybe not any blinkies on here, but uh, like here, I'll show you. I mean, this hilt, very simple, right? A very simple hilt, PVC. And I tell you, what's really cool. Let's see what he said. John says that. There should be a balance for fonts. It's the one thing I like about Disney Sabers, that one font for the character and its color. Yeah, that's, I agree with you too. That's what we were discussing as well, is that the fonts should match the hilt. It should bring the soul of the hilt out with the fonts, right? Since he says it depends on the person, it depends on the hilt, I think, and sometimes less is more, and sometimes it needs that extra flair. Yeah, totally, totally, Cinzy, absolutely. Chet, what up, my man? What up, brother? I totally agree, man. Chet, let's get you up to speed, my friend. We were talking about simple versus elaborate, right? On what you want with your sabers. You want like all the blinkies? Do you want to overpower it? Do you want like all this stuff to go on your hilt, or do you want it kind of simplified but yet bring the soul of the hilt out? So you not, maybe not so many blinkies, not so many things like that, right? Let's see here. Collector says, I don't mind a few fonts, but some come with 34 fonts and missing the right font. I think so, right, John? Uh, I think that, yeah, when you have so many fonts like that and you're missing the one that really brings it out, that should pop it, right? And Felicia goes, let's see, you have too many fonts. Sometimes you spend too much time cycling through them and to find the one that you're trying to find, one to hear. Like options get me. Yeah, see, exactly. That's exactly my point, right? Too many fonts. Titan says, believe the weathering or battle scarring should tell a story about a saber and the battles it's been through. Absolutely. But a Titan, and again, it goes with some of that, that's what brings the elaboration to the hilt, right? I'm not getting elaborate in terms of fully decking it out, but stuff like that. But if you do some of that stuff and you weather it and you battle scar it and you have a story behind it, you're really bringing the elaboration to it. Now, on the other side of the coin, it's simplicity. If it's just dirty, yeah, okay, somebody just found it. Doesn't mean it's been through any battle. It's just somebody found it and that they don't know the whole story behind it. It's just a hilt that's found, right? It's just a saber that's been found. No real backstory to it. So elaboration comes with all kinds of different things to bring out the hilt to the way it should be. And so, one of the things that I find that I really that really surprised the hell out of me, and I showed this, I think I showed it on a couple of shows or not, but smugglers, right, for the F-16 chassis fits perfectly right here. I mean, look at that. I mean, perfect, dude. Like perfect. So, it's like, man, you find out all these cool things, right? You wonder what you're gonna do, how are you gonna find things to fit into certain hilts and stuff like that. But man, I tell you what, that was a happy accident. A very big happy accident, man. I can't wait. So like I said, I've already got this thing sanded down. So right now it's time to kind of paint it up after a few things and see how the paint job will go. But I'm still kind of going back and forth between paints on it. I think I want to have a little bit of brass color, a little bit of silver in there. So I don't know. It just depends on how I feel about it. Maybe a copper body with some brass and silver accents to it. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see how that goes. Got to do some spraying and see how things look on a certain piece and stuff like that. Let's see. Chet says, for Canon hits, I'll make the first few fonts Canon go with the hilt. Then I'll add a few crazy fonts just to make it stand out. Yeah, I agree. Make it stand out, right? And that's why the V2 is my favorite. V2, huh? Huh. And the beauty and the love of sabers we fall in love with is from the screen. One color, one sound, the design of the art, weathering and chassis, and the great. Yeah, absolutely, man. John, and that was one of the things that we were talking about earlier as well. Is like some of these hilts, they have the two buttons, and I think they would be more beneficial with just the one button instead of the two. Because I think with the way the design would come out, the way the look is, I think the two buttons do an injustice to some of the hilts, and the one button would really make it shine. And that's another thing. I think that kind of beautifies some of the sabers. So let's see, Chet goes. Sometimes I like to see many blade styles that can fit into a config. Well, and that's I'm glad you brought that up, Chet. Blade styles. That's another thing that you can elaborate and on and bring in for an elaborate hilt, right? Because you have all these different blade styles um to go along with some of these hilts. Now, if you have too many, I don't know. But if you have some really cool, super badass ones that really fit the hilt well, I think if you find those few, maybe five, six, maybe, and you run with those, and then maybe, a year later, switch them up and see if they fit the saber. Because some of these, you're like, dude, at the moment, they may look badass, right? And then, like, a few other times you'll go and you'll play with the hilt and you're like, yeah, I think it's time to change this this blade style because it's not really digging, It's not really jiving. It is not really jiving. I need a new config. I need a new config, damn it. Oh man, it's gonna drive us crazy, right? Like having all these different configs, and you're like, yeah, gotta update it again. Let's see. Let's see. Sometimes I like to see me. Let's see. Okay, Justice. I have 5 or 6 Kenobi hilts and all with a different look, but the same hilt. Yeah, Johnny. That's the thing, man. I'm gonna pick one Kenobi out of them all, and I'm gonna stick with the one, and that is it, man. Um, for one, I can't even afford all of those, so I'm like, I'm not even gonna try, man. I'm gonna try to pick the best one I can for myself, how I feel when I grab a hold of that hill, look at it, and see what my gut tells me. Like if it's for me or if it's not for me, right? And let's see. V2, yes. Felicia goes, can I ask a question? Why 7/8 and one night 1 inch? Okay, so Felicia, a lot of times if you watch some of these other videos and like you're saying, you're seeing the why 7/8, 7/8 kind of you're looking at a thinner blade, right? A little bit lighter, but it's I believe what it is um it's more or less a true portrayal of what you see in the movies in terms of blades. You know how they look on screen, right? With the 1 inch, it looks a little bit wider. But with the 7/8, it's much smaller, right? In diameter. And so when you're looking at a 7/8, it actually looks like what you see on the films. And I think that's the reasoning behind the 7/8 is more like your screen accuracy type hilt blade. If I believe, I may be wrong. Don't quote me on that, okay? Um, I know because they're lighter, and also it's you can have just as many LEDs, but they're lighter. They're not as heavy either. So it could be the weight factor as well in a saber, right? I mean, you still got a 1 inch adapter that goes into the hilt with the 7/8 split. So there's always that. What can bring a blade to life? But I don't need too many. Just if you bring the same life to it. Yeah, absolutely, right? And again, the simplicity of less is more comes into play. And you know, you have John, like I said, the quad star, for instance, right? That blade right there in itself. is more or less going to be for your cons. Then you have your battle blades, right? So you got your hilts that have your battle blades. So you got one blade for that. You can go and smack around all you want, get that out of your system. Then you take your quad star to the con, and like everybody's like, oh shit, that's badass. Where are my sunglasses, right? Then you have the in between stuff. Then you have the in between stuff, and with all the blade styles, what can do, what can do, and believe me, I love the videos that you put out with all the different blades and what they can do in terms of the lumens and everything. Man, that was sick, dude. Yeah, that surprised the hell out of me too. So, your findings were surprising, dude. Since there's a lot of people like 7/8 because it looks a little thinner and closer to the OG movie. See, that's what I was saying, Susie. Yeah, absolutely. 7/8 is always my choice, Rich says. Now, Rich, is that appropriate? What I said, more or less, it is towards the movie's blade blade look for the 7/8s, or is it because of the weight factor into the blades? That's another thing, right? That I mean, because these blades can be, man, as elaborate or as simple as you want it. The simplified one is you have the one LED going up there, then you have the two strips, the normal, the two strips, right? And then you got the three, you got the four. Oh my God! And Ant just keeps going on and on, man. I think Ant is gonna be. I think Ant's gonna end up in the um man, in the Blade Hall of Fame, man, for sabers. That'd be so funny, man. Right? He's so funny. Ant's gonna be in the Hall of Fame for blades. It'd be funny. No, it'd be cool though. It'd be cool. It'd be really cool. I love Anthony to death, man. Having all these, yeah, and who would have think, who would have thought that you could actually put that many LEDs in a blade, let alone after three, right? Your tri-stars, your quad stars, your pentastars, man, by the time you know it, Anthony's going to end up with an octastar. Says also a little lighter and easier to swing around. Yeah, okay, see? Yeah, the weight factor, right? How much lighter is a 7/8 than a 1 inch? Is it considerable or is it just a little bit? Show blades, V battle blades. Rich, it looks like the films. Yeah. See, that's what I was more or less thinking is that the 7/8s were more screen accurate in terms of what they look like. Well, it depends with the blade size, and some blades look 1 inch and not 7/8. Yeah, I would agree with that, John. I guess it depends on the movie, right? The way they look. And I mean, how did people really determine, or I mean, I guess there's some people that talk to people and actually got what was terms of diameter for the blades out of the movies. I mean, that's how we came up, how people came up with the 7/8s. Um, or they just took maybe steel pigs, or maybe, well, they had to do some research, right? They've had to do some research in order to get this down because it just didn't come out of the blue nowhere. So, bit all over. Cindy says not much lighter, but if you have a longer blade, it can definitely feel it. Huh? Really? Huh? See? Learning. I'm learning here. I mean, I've only got a couple of blades, and both of them are 1 inch, right? Um, and so I guess to me, I mean, they don't feel no different than anything. And of course, I've not ever tried a 7/8 blade yet, so and I still have yet to do that. And eventually, one of these days, I will make a 7/8 blade. Of course, you have to have the 1 inch adapter to it, from what I understand, right? You got to make a 1 inch adapter, and that way, you can stick it in there, and it won't be wobbly or anything like that, from what I understand. So and again, it goes to how simplistic you want your hilt, all the different items that you can put on your hilt, how elaborate you want your hilt painted, and blinkies and so forth, right? Just cut a piece of thin walled 1 inch. Thin walled, huh? Hmm. Okay, just cut a thin wall. And I have bought a some stock from here at a factory, but it doesn't come out as straight as when I bought it from the custom saber shop, right? What I wanted to do was there's a plastics place out here in Corpus called ABC Plastics, and they have blade stock. And when I tell them what I'm looking at, and I've gotten some of their stock, and it's not straight, I'm all like, okay. So when I buy it from the custom saber shop and I compare them, I'm like, okay, this is a little wavy. Like, what happened here? How did that not come out straight, right? So, but it cost me a lot less too. So, I mean, next time I probably get something like that. I'll use it for maybe some blade plugs or something like that. Make a shit ton of blade plugs. And see, there's again, the blade plugs is another part of it, right? These blade plugs are getting elaborate now. And I mean, Jesus, you had the ones that had just to simplify where you cover the light, the LEDs, and you're good to go, right? The little razor, caps. You make your blade plugs that way. And then all of a sudden, now you got all these 3D printed parts, and they're just like, oh. And now I think with some of these, you got the ones that actually start moving inside the blade plugs, right? You can see them moving like motorized, so to speak. I'm like, man. So again, it gets elaborated, right? You start getting into that elaborate realm of more blinkies, more greeblies, more this. Make it pop, make it pop, make it pop, make it look cool. And I have to admit, some of them are really badass, man. Some of them are really badass. And then there's some where like, okay, yeah, that's a little too much, you know? I mean, it looks cool, but it really is not working. But again, it's a personal preference, right? It's personal preference on everything that you do, whether it be simple, whether it be classy, whether it be elaborate, and how you feel when you're making your hilts, when you're wiring your hilts, when you are printing out your chassis, when you are painting your hilts, anything that you do, right? It comes from the love of doing it, from the heart, how you feel on what you want in there. It is an extension of who you are, and that's the way hilts. I feel that's what hilts are kind of for, is they're extensions of who you are in the end, and you yourself can be as simple or as elaborate as you want to be. Right? Jake, what up, Jake? Welcome, man. And so, yeah, so it's like I said, you can be as simple or as elaborate as you want for yourself, but it's all good fun, and we all enjoy it, and enjoy all the little differences in everything, right? Jake says, I hate the Rebel blades. Hmm. The Rebel blades, huh? And what is it that you hate about them, dude? What brings you to that kind of animosity towards those blades? Are they just um is it the way they're made? Is it the way they are shaped? Is it what brings you to that decision that you don't like them? Too thin? Okay. Toothpicks. Oh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Huh. We got a second in agreement. Okay. I myself have never experienced them, Jake, so that's why I'm asking you. Okay. That's why I'm asking because I there's a lot of things that I have not experienced with all of these hilts and a lot of these blades. So that's why I'm asking. And Star Wars Rebels blades are too thin. Huh, man, really? So it's is it like for the Ezra Bridger, hilt? Is that one of the blades that you're thinking there? Now, John, you just did a video on an Ezra Bridger, right? And you say was it the blade that you used on that, was that one of Spaces, or was that one of those type of blades? And or you had to use that kind of blade with that hilt? Yeah. Okay. 7/8. Hmm. Now, are some of these blades that you guys are checking out? Do you think that you feel intimidated? Like if you swing them, they're just gonna like snap in half sometimes, or they wiggle so much that they're gonna end up breaking your pins on the inside? I know that it's always 1 inch is better. Yeah, like I said, I've never dealt with anything other than a 1 inch, so that's why I'm asking. So mainly you would use a 7/8 for a con, you think? I mean, because you're not going to be swinging it around much at a con, I mean, just a little bit, but you more or less use it for picks and just kind of looks. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, they don't look right to me. Oh, okay. They don't look right. Yeah. They kind of look distorted on the hilt. Is that a correct assumption there, Jake? That they look kind of distorted on the hilt? I know, like I said, and do you think with those blades, they take away from the hilt, right? You see, 7/8 is nice and bright, looks great in photos, but if you hit, they bend, and I'm sure it would snap hit hard. Huh? Really, John? Wow. Wow. So they're basically a show blade, basically, right? I mean, they're the kind of blade that you would put in a hilt, put it up on the shelf, and light it up behind you and not touch it at all. Hmm? Those are the kind of blades that you want to just do like that and not ever really kind of move around, right? Because, like I said, I've only dealt with the 1 inch, and I actually like the feel of the 1 inch, really, honestly. Show blade, yeah, okay. See, that's where I was pretty much. And so, do you think that the 7/8 blades? Do you think they take away from the hilt? They don't do it any justice, really. Or do you think that they actually do some justice to the hilt, but like I said, up on a shelf and lit up on a shelf, and that's it? I mean, do they do justice to the hilt itself? 1 inch looks more like the prequel and sequel trilogies. Yes, I agree, Jake. I totally agree. Um, I think that is the standard and your norm of the 1 inch, but at the same time, right? To get you up to speed, Jake, on tonight's stuff is the either the hilt is either simplistic, is it elaborate? So simplicity versus elaboration on your hilt. Now, do the blades take away from it, or do the blades make it pop? So that's the thing is you can go crazy on all the greeblies and everything for the hilt, and you really want to have things that make the soul of the hilt pop out is tonight's talking. Since he says, swing my 7/8 blades around and they feel solid enough, I wouldn't smack a tree with it. Well, see, since he says his is pretty solid, so that's kind of cool. I like that. I mean, I'm getting, two different, you know, two different stories here, but it's good, man, because uh, it enables for those that are gonna watch later on, they can see the differences in these kind of the blades and determine what kind of blade they really want to do make in the end, right? So we're really pumping out information for all those newbies that are gonna come in. Mikey, yo, what up, dude? What up? Hola, man. So, see, Titan says, does anyone have a colored blades with LEDs in them to enhance the red? I have a red one. Aunt sent me a red one, man, an enhanced red. And I tell you, that thing looks wicked sick sometimes. Yeah, I love the orange that brings in it. I get hopefully like when I get my F-16 going, I can put the red one in it, man. See how it comes out. And um, oh yes, I think they look more simplistic. Yeah. Okay. Cool. John says that you can see a lot of my videos. I like the 7/8 a lot, but I don't battle or anything with them. But it's a personal preference and also helps keep some hilt designs thinner. Yeah. Again, right? It personal preference. It goes back to personal preference, and as well as it brings out the hilt, right? And again, the elaboration comes into play, right? Because as simple as a blade may be, the blade, whether it be 7/8 or maybe the 1 inch, determines what kind of pops into the hilt. So you can make it, like I said, the elaboration comes into play, whether it makes it look good, maybe simplistic or not. Then you got some of those ripper blades, right? You got some of those ripper blades, so you get a hilt that has a ripper blade, and that is elaborate as hell because he has to etch in, like, let's say the lightning part of it, right? You got the ripper blades with the lightning, and then you go through all these different colors, and that's really making your hilt elaborate right there. And especially if you got like a katana style type hilt or anything like that, man. And so you want, if you're going simple and classy, but then you got elaborate and like over the top, right? So, Jake, oh, you live in chat? All right, man. I'll see you later, man. Thanks for coming by, dude. Oh, Jake. Oh, Jake is going to work. Okay, Jake, have a good one, man. You be safe out there, dude. Um, yo, Master Santos in the chat. What up? um, so again, elaboration can come as much as you want it or as little as you want it, right? And the simple versus elaborate is like, like John says, it's a personal preference on how many blinkies you want, how many blinkies you don't want, what you're going to do for your crystal chamber, right? Your crystal chamber can be as badass or as simple as you want it. Some of those crate dragon pearls, crystal chambers looks sick, man. And all it is just, it looks like a little, it's the little marble with the lights inside, but the marble is so colored detailed that it brings it out, right? So it's a lot less than what you would do with a normal crystal chamber, but it's so much more. It's so much more. It brings the character out. The characterization of the hilt, right? So whether you do very little to bring the characterization out, or you do a lot to bring that characterization out, is the basis for tonight's topic of simple versus elaborate. And with that, my friends, I'm gonna leave y'all. I'm gonna call it a night, and I hope you guys have had a good night. And I'm glad you guys, each and every one of you, thank you so much, stopping by, hanging out with me. And again, it's such an honor to have all you guys on here with me, and ladies, Felicia. hopefully, sometime soon we'll get some of these etchers like Bad Batch and some of these other YouTubers that come on here, and eventually, I'll get Megtooth. Um, Hopefully, if everything goes right and I'm able to come home early, a couple of Mondays or something, I'll do the show a lot earlier. I'll get Megtooth on here. I'll get Rich on here. Anybody who wants to come in with me, man, hit me up, guys. Hit me up. I'll send you the link if you want to come on, hang out with me in here, and let's talk some shit. Let's have some fun, man. Have some drinks. Of course, right now, Mundo's not drinking alcohol. Yeah, tonight I gotta hang the alcohol bottle up for a couple of weeks, man. Let the right body get back to normal. So Rich, man, like I said, I love all you guys and ladies, man, for hanging out with me. It's such an honor to have you guys here. Um, and next Mundo Madness Monday, man. Oh, I'm gonna have to come up with something a lot quicker tonight. Tonight was just on the spur. So many things going on today, man. I just came up with the title like literally 20 minutes before coming on. Appreciate you guys. And I think let's see. I don't know what I'm doing here. I know exactly what I'm doing, guys. But man, I tell you. Love you guys. Mundo out. Peace. Have a good night, peeps.
In here, we pour whiskey.